We're here at Frosttown, which was Houston's earliest subdivision or division of property outside of the original street grid that was laid out by the Allen brothers.
Hi everyone, I'm Ed Pettitt. I am the founder of Friends of Columbia Tap, a trails and green space advocacy group, and I'm on the advisory board for Art and Environmental Architecture, Inc. We are trying to pull together resources and stakeholders to create a new master plan for James Bute Park and the Frosttown Historic Site. And I think this is important for multiple reasons, one of which is that this is a rapidly transforming section of downtown. We are adjacent to the historic warehouse district, right across the McKee Street Bridge. And this neighborhood has experienced about 126% growth in renters just in the past decade or so. That is more than any other zip code in Houston. And it now puts us at about 85% of renters, which is second only to the Astrodome area. So this is a rapidly growing neighborhood, but it's also a neighborhood that, being industrial, historically has not had a lot of space for parks and recreation. In fact, if you look at the National Parks and Recreation Association's metric, where you need about 11 acres of park per resident, we are at a deficit of over 100 acres of parks. And so this is a very parks poor neighborhood. We really need to invest more in projects like James Bute Park, because this could really be the next big downtown park. And it's important that the right stakeholders come together. We want stakeholders that are accountable to the public. We're working with Harris County Precinct 2 with Commissioner Adrian Garcia. We'd also like to work with the Downtown Houston Plus district. We really want this park to be integrated into the fabric of downtown and all the great connectivity, mobility, and green space projects that are happening throughout the downtown area.
It's about time that we really put emphasis on the natural environment, because, you know, I wish many more people will see this environment and say, well, this is really nice. Yes, it is nice. And that's why the city is here. And that we, over the years, we cemented it, put the roadways in it, and then build buildings in it, and then we've kind of forgotten about this environment. That's something that we really need to pay a lot of attention to. It is about the founding of Houston, a bayou history of Houston, and then really create a special place for people to visit, and then certainly a special place within downtown. I know there's a huge highway project that's coming up. Again, it's just putting a roadway over the bayou, but I think this is the opportunity to recognize what's at the bayou level and what's the green spaces surrounding it.
The history of this place is one which I think warrants re-examining and creating a kind of a renaissance, if you will, around it. As an urban planner, one of the things that's most interesting to me is just the city grid. There's an old city grid that sits under this piece of land. It's been marked the streets have been marked out. And I think one idea that I think would be really interesting is going back and looking at the individual sites, or not just resurrecting the street, but the lots and plots and some of the histories of the people and the structures that were there as a way of kind of remembering. And this is the site actually right over here. You can see them cleaning up. Obviously, it's a way for the general public to actually have access to the park. There are very few places where you can do that. You could come here and picnic. I just love the idea of sort of strolling around and seeing old photographs and much of the hard work that's been done by Kirk and others.
I really like to be outside, so I walk around a lot. I'll come and walk over the McKee Street Bridge and just kind of see what's going on in the bayou. I walk around this little park that's up here, take a little lap around the green space, and spend some time outside.
I think that when we're surrounded by buildings and cars and concrete, it's just so nice to have a little bit of green and a little bit of water surrounding us. It just, brings a nice breath of fresh air amongst the city life.
I would love for there to be a little bit more at the park.
More green space, more areas for people to get together and touch grass, honestly.
Yeah.
I've been using the bike trails for years. I go all the way from MKT to downtown. For the most part, they're really decent, but there are parts where they can be very much improved, where we are fighting cars just to safely make it through. By creating more designated bike areas, us bikers would feel more safe using our bike trails and not having to fight the cars for the road.
Absolutely. This area is so historic, and we have to honor our roots as we move forward into the future.
For sure. To appreciate this area, especially going on this boat ride and seeing it from a different perspective, makes me want to preserve it even more, right? Like, we keep building buildings and we keep obstructing these beautiful views that we had that I didn't even notice that our city is so beautiful. Everyone says Houston has no nature, but they don't give us a chance to actually be in nature.
Yeah. We have the nature out here. Let's put a little bit more of a spotlight on it.
Yes.
The Frosttown subdivision, which I want to talk about more extensively, was established during the Republic period and settled in 1836 and then subdivided in 1838 by the heirs of Jonathan Benson Frost and turned into a lot and block neighborhood and sold off pretty quickly to speculators and German immigrants that were arriving rapidly about 1840. And there were a lot of early Germans that settled there, built houses, conducted their lives, and have their own individual German family stories. And they were a very prominent group in Texas, as everyone knows, and they stayed that way until about the beginning of World War I, when there was a sudden confrontation about it. There were more German speakers in Texas, I think, in 1900 than there were English speakers. I don't know if that's probably a factoid, but it sounds pretty good. But at any rate, we're on the bayou. The bayou was the Republic of Texas highway, to the Emporium. You could use it for transportation and shopping and all sorts of things. And it was an integral part of the development of early Houston, when this thing was nothing more than tents and log cabins and dog trot houses, and truly a mess. As one Catholic minister or preacher came in from New Orleans to see Houston, he went back to New Orleans and he says, "Don't go there. Nothing but mosquitoes and Methodists." And I thought that was pretty funny and maybe perfectly true. But the early Houston was primitive and very much like a homeless camp with more ambitious people. Frosttown is also an archaeological site, in the sense that our charitable organization, Art and Environmental Architecture, Inc., pursued archaeological investigations here for the purpose of giving it a state archaeological or antiquities landmark site status. All the government property that's within Frosttown is also under that status under federal regulation section 108. Our property we volunteered to incorporate in this process. Now, the purpose of that is to
bring esteem and information and knowledge and interest in the Frosttown area and to promote the value of expanding and improving the park.